I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 26, 2025 meeting of Burlington's Conservation Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. This meeting and our hearings for the commission will be held in person at the Town Hall second floor meeting room. Members of the public are welcome to attend the in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. Okay, so let's do a roll call. All right. Commissioner Kevin Sheehan.
Rob Sheehan?
Bob Sheehan, Rob Sheehan, yeah, Rob Sheehan.
Rob is not-
He's
Rob's
absent,
not-
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We have Commissioner Kent Moffett.
He is not here.
Kent absent. Okay. Commissioner Ed Laturco.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Olinsky.
Here.
Commissioner Indra Deb.
Here.
Commissioner Bill Boyven.
Here.
Associate Commissioner Sadie Backstrom.
Here.
And for the record, the chair, Larry Cohen, is here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. All right. So the first item on the agenda after calling the meeting to order is to note that item number 6 on our agenda, which is a continued public hearing, notice of intent, 7A for American Maplewood Properties LLC for material storage in a crushed stone parking area. It's DEP file number 122-715 has asked for a continuance. Could I have a motion for a continuance for the notice of intent for 7A Street to our July 10th meeting? Second?
Second.
All in favor? That's 500. Okay, after that business, we have public comment. Please come up.
Good evening, everyone. I think I'm pretty well known here at this point. John Hickey, 10 Sarah Street, 63-year resident. I'm here once again, 14 months now in the making, about 12 Sarah Street. I've sent over a dozen to 12, 15 emails to this commission over the last 14 months. I've appeared 7 times. You, Mr. Cohen and Mr. Boven, have applauded me for my diligence as a community member staying so on top of this project. I can only imagine if, in terms of other people in town who are not as diligent in terms of what's actually happening and not happening that should be happening. So the one thing I'm going to bring up, because my emails, although the last one I sent was 4 pages, and I said it would be my last email, hopefully people were able to glean through some of it this week. It will be my last email. This will be my last appearance, so you can rest assured. That being said, my focus tonight again is on the wall, okay? So to try to, as quickly as I can, I'm just going, because this has come up so many times in emails and in public settings, back last May, before the order of conditions was voted on by this commission, Mr. Cayley had asked you to look over the wall. It was declined because, as Mr. Deb said, it was going to be a 3-foot retention wall, and the goal, as you said, Mr. Deb, was to retain water on 12 Sarah Street from my property, which is on 10. You were concerned about my property, thank you, as was Mr. Sheehan, very much concerned, and Mr. Laturco spoke as well. So it didn't need weed poles. Mr. Cayley asked about weed poles. You said no because the goal is to retain water. At that meeting, it was discussed by Mr. Sheehan asking a lot of thoughtful questions around the wall itself. And would it be a timber wall or some sort of stone? Mr. Dragani and Mr. Gull, who was present at the meeting, said it would be 8 to 12 inch retaining wall, solid block wall. and it would be under 4 feet, so weep holes would not be needed. Ms. Coleman concurred. If it's under 4, it would not be needed. I'm not sure how that translated to a rock wall that's unmortared. Mr. Dragani, the civil engineer, was very clear that because the foundation had to be raised up as per requirement, that there would be a 6-inch slope. Mr. Deb spoke to that at length about the 6-inch slope protecting my property with the wall. It's 2 inches, it's not 6. I've brought this up multiple emails and in-person meetings. It's never been corrected. The civil engineer himself said it is supposed to be 6, but he did 2. And if the commission wants it to be 6, it should be 6. The wall itself was supposed to be a solid cinder block wall. Mr. Gull himself said that's what it was going to be. I, through emails and in person in March, contacted the commission and came in person. Ms. Coleman, on March 13th, contacted Mr. Gull, Mr. Dragani, and the civil engineer, Mr. Dragani, Mr. Gull, and Mr. Bonanno, the contractor who built it, to find out what was going on with this wall, because everybody, of course, was a bit surprised that that's not a cinder block wall, as it was discussed and voted on under the orders of conditions. Mr. Gull had Mr. Bonanno come to my property on March 13th of this year because Mr. Gull said Eileen had contacted and they're going to make us take down the wall. It's not the proper wall. Mr. Bonanno came out to assure me everything will be well, there's non-biodegradable plastic, so on and so forth. I brought 2 masons to my property. They said the wall needs to be mortared. I did research myself. I've driven around all these towns, as I've told you, at multiple meetings. 99.9 of every wall, I just came down Skilton, 3 cinder block walls solid, 4 stone walls solid. I'm at the house that's 6,000 square feet above me with a sloping driveway with an open wall that I sent the commission pictures that I could put my arm through it. I sent you pictures of water streaming out over the winter season. I asked again in June because, once again, no response from the commission to my emails about it. Eileen Coleman says in June that it was in June of this year. The final approved plan, so we're going back, this is reminiscent of the trees, called for a stepped landscape wall to be 3 feet. It did not specify a standard cinder block wall. I responded that it most certainly did. It's all on public record. So the last thing I'm going to say is, on April 10th, I came here, and Mr. Cohen, you said to me, for the public record, I can assure you, if it's supposed to be a 6-inch slope, for the wall to be above and a 6-inch slope, it will be 6 inches. It's not. It's still 2. Mr. Dragani admitted it's still 2. Why is it still 2? If it's supposed to be a solid wall, it should be a solid wall. It's not. It's a wall with holes in it you could put your arm through. And like I said, I'm a property at great risk with the 6,000 square foot house on top of me, foundation raised up purposely because it can't be in the ground. I even said, I don't care anymore about the solid wall that everybody voted on. It was the only plan. There was no final plan. If not, if there's a final plan, then that needs to be looked at through open records. What final plan was devised between March and June, unless it was just a discussion with you and Mr. Gall? What final plan changed that everybody voted on for a solid wall? I said that it does not, at this point, the wall can stay. I don't care anymore. I just want it mortared. I don't want a wall with all these holes coming right down on top of me. That's all I've asked for. And you assured me for public record, if that's what was on file in the order of conditions, it should be 6 inches, it should be more, it should be a solid wall, actually. It shouldn't even be, basically that wall should be torn down. But I don't care, it could stay. I want it mortared. 12 emails, 7 visits, 14 months. I've asked you respectfully to please follow through and do the job. It's still not done. We're now in July of 2025. So right now, I would like to know from the commission, because nobody's responded to me, and there was no final plan that was approved by the vote of this commission, contrary to what was discussed, to say you could completely change the wall to an unmortared stone wall. When Mr. Gall says himself, they're going to make you take down the wall, yeah, they went out back in the backyard, pulled all the stones, much cheaper, right off the property, didn't mortar it, done. That is not what was called for by the Conservation Commission and with the plans with the civil engineer to protect the integrity of the project, all the French drains, so on and so forth, and my property next door. So I am asking for the wall to be mortared. Mr. Degani, the engineer, said, it should be a one-day job, and I'm surprised they haven't done it by now when I called them.
Okay.
Okay. So you assured me.
Are you through?
I'm done, so
All
you
right.
assured me.
I don't want to start talking if you have more to say.
No, and I thank you for the time.
All right. Eileen, do you have any comments? Do you remember, I don't know if you were necessarily prepared to respond, but the order of conditions and the plan said what? Just to
The order
refresh.
of conditions did not reference the wall specifically. The plan still says stepped landscape wall designed by others, as it did all along. We did discuss it in some meetings. We talked about how Mr. Drajani and Rakesh agreed it would probably be a block wall.
They didn't probably agree. They said it would be an 8 to 12-inch retaining wall.
Please let her talk.
They said it would be a block wall. Nobody said concrete block, cinder block, anything like that. They said block wall. So ultimately, it is up to you. He is correct about the top of wall. There is supposed to be top of wall must be 6 inches above the final grade. Rakesh's suggestion was that they could add, maybe not, his compromise was that not to add a full block, but to add something on the outside that would be narrower, maybe just a couple of inches, that would provide that 6-inch kind of lip, if you want to propose that. And we also didn't say anything about mortaring it. And from my research, it can go either way. They can be mortared or not mortared. The foundation of the wall appears to be perfectly adequate. Mr. Hickey had also been concerned about oversight and who oversees that wall. Nobody actually has the authority to oversee the construction of a wall that does not require, that is too low for a building permit. So we don't, the building department does not either. We rely on the integrity and the expertise of the mason.
And a 2.5-foot block wall does not require a PE stamp or anything, does it?
Correct.
Okay.
Plus, we did not, we talked about it. We talked about whether it might need a spec for the wall. Because he's right, John Keeley did raise that, and we decided, given that its height, you decided that it did not. And it does not hold up the whole house.
And it what?
It doesn't hold up the house. The house holds itself up. It's holding back some land, some soil.
Okay, so the two things that you brought up many times, the 2 inches versus the 6 inches, the commission has not decided whether or not to let there's a lot of things that happen that are deviations from plans. It's a routine thing that happens. I'm not saying this is a justified deviation or it's not a justified deviation, but you should know that deviations from approved plans occur all the time. And the certification by the engineer usually includes a list of the deviations from the plan where things didn't turn out exactly that way, okay? In some cases, they justify that it makes no difference. In other cases, occasionally we say it does make a difference and it should be one way versus another.
So let me just comment on that one thing, please.
Yes.
So Mr. Dragani and Mr. Debs was very concerned because here's the wall and the slope. I wanted it to be more, but you guys explained to me why, with landscaping and whatnot, but that it was going to be a 6-inch slope.
Right.
Mr. Dragani said 4 times at that public meeting, which is all on video, that it would be 6 inches.
I know
Right.
it said, I'm aware of
Right.
that's what it said.
And he even agreed with me when I asked him. He said it's 2, but it should be 6, and I can
Okay.
change it.
Yeah, to comply, exactly, it should be 6. All I'm pointing out, and this commission has not decided whether or not 2 versus 6, 2 is acceptable, or it has to be 6, okay? But I will just tell you that I did my own research, and just on my own part, that there is some talk that you can research that says because the ice settles down, okay, and you get, it goes to the bottom where the snow is on the surface.
Right.
That the water then can, as it melts, can slide off. So if the thing is absolutely flush, you could get water coming off the top. There is nothing that says 2 inches. It says a little lip will prevent that. It doesn't say 6 inches is better than 2 inches. The reason why, I'm just telling you right now, the reason why we have 6 inches, because I suggested 6 inches at the time, but I have no scientific basis for it, that 2 inches wouldn't work for what we're trying to
Right.
achieve.
And that, in that lengthy discussion, Mr. Deb and Mr. Shan were discussing this, and Mr. Dragani was agreeing the 6
The
inches.
point I'm making is that the 6 inches was arbitrary. I'm not saying that they should decide to be 2 inches versus 6 inches. They haven't. I'm just saying that it is arbitrary. There's no scientific basis that says 6 will work and 2 won't for the purposes of what you're talking about, which is prevent water that melts in the bottom of the ice there and just slides off the top of it.
Right, and they also added a fence on top for the reason of trying to, because of the concern from the commission about the snow and ice buildup, and that
helps hold it.
fence would help.
That helps hold it, and then they have a pipe underneath, and then.
Correct.
And then they have the plastic and all that.
Correct.
But I have a question for you. You have alluded in your many emails saying exactly the same thing, okay, which you know that's true.
Right.
Is that you have sent pictures showing water coming through the wall. Can't find them. I've looked and looked and looked at all the things you've sent. It's good. Could you resend them?
Yeah, I can resend, basically when the snow was melting, you could see the brown, because it was brown
No,
streaks.
I want
coming.
water leak. You said water is coming through the wall. Do you have any pictures showing water is breaking through the wall?
Yes.
Well, then send them. The reason why I say that is because 2 weeks ago, on a Saturday, we had intense rainfall, okay, for like 12 to 5:30.
Yeah, I
And
was-
right when it stopped, right at 5:30, I did not go on your property, but I went by and I took my camera and I kept zooming in and zooming in and zooming in. Because if water was going to come through during that storm, that was at the end of the storm, I would have seen it right at that point. And so the thing stopped at like 5:25 and I was there at 5:30.
Yeah, and I was at a celebration of life, and I wanted to be there for it. I wasn't home, but you could have come on my property. But that aside, yes, when I look at these storms with climate change, these 7, 8, 9-inch storms that are insane, that's when I worry. But in the winter, it was the snow melt when we had snow and rain and whatever, and it wasn't like flooding out, but you could see the brown streams of water all coming through the bottom. My concern is any water, because it was supposed to be a block wall. Mr. Gall said it, Mr. Dragani said it was supposed to be a solid wall. Did you see the picture? I put my arm through the rocks, like up to my elbow?
I saw that one.
All the way through. So
Didn't see that.
all I'm asking for, because it was
understand.
supposed to be, just please mortar it. That's all I'm
That
asking.
will not prevent the if you're getting seepage now, which typically is what those walls do, Indra, right? Don't those walls seep from rain and snow behind them? A stone wall?
Sorry. I was looking.
Don't the stone walls seep after a storm? Don't those stone walls seep, right? This stone wall has plastic, and then there's a stone wall, and then there's a drain underneath. He's saying he saw seepage or evidence of staining of water coming through. My understanding is that whether you mortar it or not, you'll still see evidence of a little bit of seepage coming through. That's my understanding.
Some, not,
Not a lot.
Not a lot, definitely.
Mr. Deb, when you go back to the meeting from May 9th, you said exactly that the goal of the retaining wall is to do that, just that, retain water, because they asked about weep holes, and you said, no, the goal is to retain the water. So
No.
why do I have a wall with stones
No.
that you could put your arm through?
Let me tell you, retaining wall is not to retain the water. Retaining wall is to retain the soil behind the wall.
Right, but the words you said, go back and watch May 9th, to retain the wall, and it didn't need weep
Now,
holes.
I cannot say that, maybe I'll check that video. I never said that the retaining wall will retain water.
May
then I
9th.
would say I have never
May 9th.
learned
May 9th.
anything.
There was a lot of concern by the commission about it. All I'm asking at this point, I've gone by so many homes in Burlington alone, and they're solid block walls or they're stone walls that are fully mortared. I've got a monster on top of me with no room of margin for error. Who knows what we're going to get for snow or rain moving forward? And I slope down, as you well know from all my times coming here. And because it didn't end up being the 8 to 12-inch stone wall, and even Mr. Gall was like, they're going to make us take it down because it wasn't the wall that was approved. All I'm saying, leave it up. I don't care anymore. I'm just asking that it be mortared. It should be a solid wall.
Let me try to think, because it's so many things and so many days gone by. Did we ever talk about the solid wall with mortar?
No.
No, we talked about a
Exactly.
block wall.
Right. And the block wall mortar could be a little bit inside also, not always flushing with the wall. That's just for, aesthetic view.
8 to 12-inch block walls, every block wall I've seen is blocks, there's no gaps. If you come by my house, you can see holes like this, I could put my arm up to here, all the way through it.
Of course, we do not want that.
Right, and
Move
that,
water from one.
the whole wall looks like that, all the way down. You
All
can
right,
put your
well,
arm.
we are not making a decision tonight, okay? And I will tell you, if you have pictures of it, actually water coming through, I didn't see any right after that storm, okay? Maybe there was a little bit of staining, like, okay, but I saw no seepage, I zoomed in, there was nothing, okay? That doesn't mean it shouldn't be mortared or not, or it should or should not be mortared. So, at this point, if, the time when this would normally be decided is during the certificate of compliance, when he wants to come for the certificate of compliance, and we would get information ahead of time, and then normally we would evaluate this,
Right.
all right? And so that hasn't happened. We haven't got the engineer's report yet on that and anything else.
We had if you don't mind me.
Yeah, go ahead.
chiming in, we had suggested at that site visit a few weeks ago that, because we went out to see
I know.
whether all the plantings had gone in, and we suggested at that time that he leaves it for this growing season, just to see how everything establishes before he applies for the COC. And then you can still retain some of the bond for.
And we did do a site visit.
Yeah, we did the site visit.
Yeah, we did the site visit already. Okay.
And we would do another one at that time, when the.
All right, we heard you, sir. So, thank you.
I appreciate you hearing me, and again, like, at this point, Mr. Cohen, like, I am beyond, and you'll probably be shocked when I say this, but I'm at a loss for words. And at this point, I'm going to ask, again, considering the size of that house, what should be there for a retaining wall, and to protect my property from a rock wall. It's the only rock wall I've seen in 3 towns that's not mortared. And this is, if any wall should be mortared, it should have been a block wall to begin with. That's what everybody approved. There was no other final approval.
Mr. Hickey.
Something different.
We do-
Please
we do-
mortar the wall. I don't want to come back.
We do have to move on, but the only thing I will say is, I will have a conversation with our administrator about this particular issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so now we're on item 4A, notice is given, the commission will hold a public meeting.
Minutes, sorry.
We have minutes, that's right. The minutes of May 22nd. Are we ready for those?
I didn't even look at them. For some reason, I didn't see them. I might have missed them.
I did,
I'm
Not-
reasonably sure Lucy sent them out, but we can wait till the next time, if either we didn't or nobody's had a chance to look at them. That's fine. We
yeah,
can
I
wait.
didn't see them. I thought I went through everything, too.
Okay,
Okay, maybe I missed it. Okay, okay. Notice is given, the commission will hold a public meeting, during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Oracle for proposed resurfacing or a paved bike path in the buffer to bordering vegetative wetlands at 0 Vandergraft Drive in Burlington. The commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application's being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the State's Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. A copy of the application may be obtained by sending an email to conservation@burlington.org. All right, so do we have somebody online here? The volume is down low.
Rick, is there any way you can do something to raise your volume? I'm not sure what I can do. Not really.
You-
Uh-oh. Is that an us thing?
Well,
That's a smart thing. Is there a chance that it just got turned down? Oh. Probably should, right?
do what on the TV?
Turn up the volume.
I just wondered if somebody had knocked it down.
I think you can turn up his mic. But I could be wrong about that.
Looking better now.
Were you able to turn it up?
I am.
Seems like it.
Well, Bob is.
Try again.
Can you say hello?
Yeah,
Oh, that's better.
That's a little better.
okay, good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
You're good to go.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Rick Cohen, Oracle, Burlington, obviously, 10 Vandergraft Drive. We're looking to repave our existing bike path that's been there since 2001, and it needs some repair. As Eileen was on site yesterday, she could verify that, yes, we need some repairs done to that bike path. So we decided we should probably just grind it down and repave it so it's smooth for all the people that come through there.
Okay, thank you. Eileen, we did a site visit, and some of the commissioners were with you. We walked it.
It's me.
Who was the culprit?
Me, I got it.
What a day.
done.
What a day it's been for these.
Now we got too much for you.
Okay.
That's all.
If you want me to start.
Yes, I was trying to say that.
We went out yesterday to take a look at the path. Look at the fancy cursor I have going on now. So this is the part of the application that Rick submitted. This shows the existing pathway in red. And as you can see, it's going between two wetlands. This one here that I'm just circling is the one that we could see that's fenced in here with the Phragmites that was obvious. And then there was the one on the other side, which was hidden a little bit behind quite a lot of invasive species and dogwoods and other things. So it's cutting right through those two wetlands, one of which is almost on top of the path. That's why I wanted us to go and take a look at it. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll down here. Okay, well, we won't worry about it. Okay, well, my other pictures were really just showing what's down at the other end of the path. That's it.
Okay, do you have any concerns about it, Eileen?
I don't. It is an existing path. You had issued a determination for a stone dust path here back in about, I think it was 2012. And at some point along the way, it got paved. I'm not sure. I didn't find a filing for that. But this is basically just a repaving on the existing pathway, mill and overlay, without extending past where it is. So I don't have any concerns. I would like some erosion controls, if possible, to go in along this area just here, pretty much where it's actually quite close to this wetland. But other than that,
Okay.
I don't have any issues.
Okay,
That's 12 inch. Is that what you called out for?
We haven't got to there yet, Rick.
Oh, okay, sorry.
all right, let's see if there's any questions first, or comments from the commission, and then we'll move on to discuss this. Ed, anything?
Hi, Rick, good to see you again.
How are you?
I only have, because of the sidewalk that was put in, the only thing that might be an issue is if you bring down asphalt, it's at the same level as the sidewalk, that water's going across the sidewalk again. If there's a way, and I think you said right on it, Eileen, erosion changed before it gets there may be the answer. So we don't have to go back and see all that water come down the way it used to. It's a little better, but the sidewalk made it probably a little worse. So I like to see something that's erosion controlled before it gets to the sidewalk.
Well,
I actually, part of what Rick is actually alluding to, I thought about that afterwards, and I did add another condition that I want to go through tonight, which is what Rick is talking about, and it addresses what you're saying,
Okay,
if you guys don't mind,
well,
when we get to that.
we can discuss it then during looking at a few
Yep.
conditions.
okay.
Okay, Sarah, any comments?
My only comment is that I would like to see the mulch volcanoes removed from the trees that are planted along this bike path, because I noticed they seem to be correlated with disease on the bark of the trees which have them. You see a number of
Yeah, we-
splits and blights.
We spoke to our landscaper already, so we'll take care of that.
Wonderful.
All right, Sadie, anything?
No.
Indra?
No, I agree with Ed's comment. Yeah, there should be a erosion control in place.
Bill?
No comments.
I just say that I think there's a couple of red maple trees that look like they have some open wound areas. I suggested to the person we met, I forget her name now, but, what's her name?
Amy?
Amy,
Yeah, I suggested that she might want to get a certified arborist to take a look at them, because they may be able to treat them and save them, or they may not be able to, but it would be good to get an informed opinion on that.
yeah, she's already reached out. Like I said, everything you guys talked about yesterday, she was on it today, so we'll address all those issues you guys had yesterday.
That's great. Excellent.
Yeah, we want to do the right thing, so.
Yeah, thank you. And the other thing is, Ed, are you talking about the rainfall that it falls on the path and that going downhill ends up on Blanchard Road? Is that what you're,
Yeah, it's been corrected, severely corrected, before the walk went in. The walk aisle is actually down lower than where the surface was before, which was dirt, and it just flew across that into the road. It's still happening a little, but it still needs a little more control back further,
to control
that flow of water.
the flow of
We start
water,
on both sides.
the flow of water originating on the sides of the path or on the path?
That becomes a river when it's really a bad torrential rain.
Has-
On the,
Has the riprap, I apologize for just jumping in. The
Yeah.
riprap that Steve Hildreth, that the town put in beside the
I
sidewalk.
don't think it's as good as it can be. Maybe a little deeper with more stone, might be a more simple answer.
Well, that is a stone trench with riprap on top.
Right.
Oh, well, we'll have to work with Steve then in that case probably, because that'd be their right of way.
It's not as severe as it used to be at all. It was
Okay.
bad.
I see. All right.
That's been correct.
All right, is there anybody else online or for this? This is, was it 10 or 10 Van de Graaff Drive?
Correct.
Yes. No. All right. So we have a negative conditional determination with draft with some comments, some
We do.
conditions? Okay.
We do, if you... All right. All right, so the applicant proposed to replace the existing bike path in kind by milling the existing asphalt surface, grinding the asphalt and reusing in place. The path would be resurfaced along its 915-foot length and 10-foot width. Segments of the work were located within the 100-foot buffer to bordering vegetated wetland and an isolated wetland on either side of the pathway. Oh, I should just change that to say, I'll just change that sentence so it makes slightly more sense. The commission had previously approved a stone dust pathways at this location under a negative determination 2014. This is to approve this work as described only herein. I'm suggesting that prior to beginning any construction on site, sediment barriers shall be installed along the section of the path that skirts the bordering vegetated wetland and shall be inspected by conservation staff. Given the space restrictions, towed-in silt fence may be used. That would, Rick, that would be right up against the path itself, or just a few inches behind if there's room. Compost filter tubes may be installed as an alternative if that's easier. Sediment barriers shall remain in place while the work is being done and until the disturbed areas have been permanently stabilized. The Commission reserves the right to require additional erosional control. The additional part that I put in that I was trying to address Ed's concern is Amy had said yesterday she got 2 different quotes, one to bring the paving just up to the part that had been redone by the town, and one to bring it all the way up to the roadway. And I checked with the engineer who had dealt with the sidewalk work, and he suggested that it go all the way up to the sidewalk so that, one, they get a nice smooth path and they're not sort of stopping and starting, but the other one, that way they can make sure that their new one also grades into the area that Ed is talking about. So we were suggesting it says, assuming Rick is okay with this, the repaving shall extend to the sidewalk on Blanchard Road and be graded at the western path after the fork so that the stormwater flows into the trench already in place on the west side of that branch. Confer with Conservation and Engineering Department staff regarding the grading prior to construction, if everyone's okay with that. All disturbed areas within the jurisdiction of the Commission shall be stabilized immediately afterwards. There shall be no dewatering permitted on this site unless we get a dewatering plan. No material shall be stockpiled within 100 feet of a resource area unless covered and encircled with straw bales. Any excavated materials that's not reused on the site, and that is probably everything, should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No asphalt shall be disposed within the wetland. No filling or grading of the property beyond what we're just talking about tonight, and no tracking of sediments onto public roadways, and no removal of trees permitted under this determination. And upon completion of the work, the applicant shall confer with department staff to take a look.
All right, any, sir, any comments?
I don't have any comments.
All right, how about from the commission, any comments?
Nothing further.
Are you satisfied, Ed, with,
Yeah, because I don't think it's just a difficult thing to fix and correct based on what's planned.
okay,
I keep an eye on it all the time.
sure. Anyone else? I have one question. I'm not sure about this. The fenced-in Phragmite area, is there a benefit to asking this applicant if there's a way of reclaiming X number of feet of a no-disturb zone, because the upland directly adjacent to that wetland helps to support the habitat if it was naturally vegetated and not mowed? Sir, your maintenance people have mowed it to, looks very nice, but it's not a healthy way of supporting a wetland. So,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I thought, I've been on that campus since we built it in 2001, and there was always the direction that had to be maintained. Otherwise, we would just close that fence and let it overgrow if that's what you want to do. It's up to, we'll do whatever the town wants us to do, obviously.
Well,
We just did because that was part of our agreement, I thought, taking over that parcel of land.
yeah, I can't speak, it was so many years ago, I can't speak to that, but
Well,
Yeah, same.
I could look back on the decisions, but also just perhaps our thoughts on this have changed, and you do have a 20-foot no disturb now.
yeah, I mean, we have adjacent to a wetlands because it does so much to actually support the habitat and the breeding of animals and things like that. We have so many feet of no disturb upland adjacent to a wetland as a protected area in our regulations. So the question I'm asking is not necessarily whether we have to insist on the whole thing, but any opportunity to reclaim X numbers of feet is very helpful for that reason.
Sounds like he might be open to just letting it go.
Yeah, he's willing to just close the gates
Are you,
down.
are you, Mark? Are you, oh, sorry, Rick, I'm sorry, this is not my night. Rick, are you open to just, as you said, closing the gate and letting that 20 feet reestablish?
Yes, if that's what you would recommend, and that's fine with the town, I'm all good with that.
Well, that's certainly a no-cost option.
Yeah, perfect,
it's a
yeah, I
win-win.
know, I might even save some of it.
And, yeah, it saved them the trouble of moving it.
Yeah.
I agree, and
Yeah.
it gives you what you want as well.
Yeah, it really does enhance the wetland, and you seem to have a very vibrant wetland right there in the middle.
Yeah.
So that would be great if you're agreeing to that.
All right, let me, I will talk to my landscaper person and say this is what we want to do, and if there's a reason why they're trimming it that close, then I'll let you know, but I don't see a reason why not.
Right.
Well, even if there was one, we could override that. We
Yeah.
might have to
Oh,
think about
okay, there you
how to
go.
do it. We might have to think about how to do it. Do you want me to put something in here, or do you want to wait, because it's a determination? Do you want me to put a sentence?
Wait, I'll take that
I wasn't asking
conversation.
you, Rick, sorry, I was asking the
Yeah, I think in this particular case, you have to check with people beforehand, before you agree to it?
No.
No.
I can agree to anything.
You can agree to anything. I like this guy.
I think he was just concerned that we weren't now going to contradict something that he was already adhering to, and I understand where he's.
Yeah, by the town, yeah, we have an orders of condition, the
But-
things we need to maintain. So,
Well, how about we leave it as is? I will check just to see if it was written somewhere, and then if it was, we'll put something in writing for him.
Right,
To,
and as a request.
yes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. These kind of things we can do informally as well.
okay.
All right, so if there's no further changes, could I have a motion to vote a negative conditional determination for the project as described for 10 Vandergraaf Drive for Oracle for resurfacing of the bike path? Second?
Second.
And this is actually under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. Okay, there's a second, all in favor? 500. Okay. All right, Rick, thank you very, very much.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Have a great night.
Same to you. All right, next, we have a continued public hearing, notice of intent, 114 Wynn Street, Burlington Public Schools. They want to redevelop brush field at, the back brush field at Marshall Simons Middle School. It's DEP file number 122-713. All right, so I guess we have some folks online and one person here. So would someone like to do the introductions, please?
I'll do the introduction. Thank you all. Bob Cuna from the school department. Online we have Arson and Hip, both from Nesra Engineering. Again, thank you. The intent of tonight is really just to give you all an update of where we are with the project. As you know, we took some feedback from this committee on the findings of the wetland designation, and what we have before you to present is a redesigned field with some changes to it. Again, we're not seeking a vote tonight. It's really just to get some feedback from you all. We still have some design work to do with our subcommittee, obviously the Conservation Department, and working with the engineers. So again, just to provide an update. So I believe Arson is going to share, or is it Hip? I'm sorry.
Happy to share on my end, unless Eileen, you want to. I don't know if you have the same documents.
Well, I do, but I just made you a presenter, so you can feel free to do
Okay.
that. We're being much more strict these days.
Right. We have updated the plan to show the revised wetland boundary. We worked with the committee to reduce the scope and reduce the field sizes. We're proposing one full-size synthetic turf field and one youth field, youth soccer field, and a half, essentially half or a third field for practice area. We're trying to balance the resources and maintain as much separation from the riverfront on the left side here as possible, and maintaining a 25-foot no disturb area along the wetland boundary. We shifted the seating terrace that was previously across from the parking area to be further down, perpendicular to the building. This will allow still to have vantage of both existing track and field and the proposed fields, as well as providing ADA accessibility via a ramp that would traverse this way and double back to a central location between the track and turf fields to provide ADA access. Previously, we were able to, in the last design, we had multiple terraces that were ADA accessible. With the revisions, we'll be able to provide ADA seating at the bottom row and at the very top row, as well as at the access that I mentioned. The parking area will remain as the existing paved area that's there. We're only proposing restriping of the spaces to allow for ADA accessible parking. As such, the rain garden went away, as there's no impervious area or new construction proposed there. Part of that. We're proposing a perimeter walkway for the users and the public, and some seating areas, small portable bleachers. On this side, they would be on concrete pads. On the sides that are closer to the resource areas, they would just be on a gravel or crushed stone base, which will allow for infiltration and impervious material. But in the very front, it will be paved to allow for ADA access and companion seating. We're proposing a relocated scoreboard here because the seating has shifted down. They no longer have the view of this scoreboard, which we're proposing to be double-sided. So that necessitates another scoreboard, which will be in this corner to allow for viewing from the seating area as well as these bleachers. We're still proposing the lights. However, it'll be 2 units, double fixtures, one facing the smaller field, one facing the primary field. Same thing in this corner. And these lights are existing. They would just be retrofitted, likely to have LED and result in less glare and light spill and light pollution. If there is emergency access necessary, we're no longer able to come down this hill as the revised wetland line prevents us and the grades prevent us. To that end, we're proposing a gate at this parking area. The emergency vehicles would have to drive on the track and then grass area to reach the athletic fields. Part of the design, we will look at these areas here that are now available to us and design such that natural grass catchment areas will be included so that any potential runoff from the turf fields will be intercepted there and infiltration promoted. Should there maintenance be required or checking of any crumb rubber that might have migrated, which I believe is highly unlikely, it can be maintained and restored back onto the turf field. And this can be detailed via a operation and maintenance plan to make sure this is done every spring and fall or after any maintenance activity on the fields.
You just barely see it.
Our next steps would be to revise the drainage calculations, revise all the permitting documents.
200 foot there.
There are a couple of waivers that we'll be looking for, which we will detail and the reasoning for them, and then come back again before you looking for a vote. But I would love to answer any questions you might have, get any direction that might guide and assist us in making sure we're moving in the right direction, and go from there. That helps.
Okay, thank you. All right. Eileen, we just got this a few days ago, I guess. Have you had a chance to, do you have some opinions on it at this point?
Just to say that this is, I appreciate the fact that they have now taken pretty much all of the impacts out of the wetlands and provided no disturb boundary, and they've moved everything further away from the streams. I would like to see some more details about the drainage. That's forthcoming. This is In terms of just wetland impacts, it is a definite improvement. It does go a long way towards meeting the standards, I think.
All right, so in the interest of moving this along as fast as possible, let's list any requests people have, so that way we're not springing it on you 2 weeks from now. All right, it's better to do it now. Eileen, do you have any requests for clarifications or information at this point?
Well, I think it's a lot of the things that Arson just mentioned. He said the drainage plan, drainage calcs, O&M plan for the turf. He said they're all forthcoming, so I know that they're on the way.
Yep.
Okay, drainage plan, O&M,
The drainage calculations.
Well, plan and
the plan,
calculations, yes.
and calcs, yeah.
Those for a start.
All right. Okay, so let's start, I'll start on the right. Ed, do you have any comments or requests for further information?
Nothing to add to what Eileen just said.
All right, that's okay. You can always come back if you think of anything.
Okay.
Sarah?
No requests. It looks like a much better fit to the site.
All right. Sadie, anything?
No, that was good.
Indra?
No?
Bill?
Is there still a plan to clean out that buried catch basin along the top of the drawing?
I think we'll take the feedback on that. I'm not sure yet, right? I think we have to understand the delineation of where that catch basin is. Or are you talking about the upper one?
Way up the top there on the drawing.
Yeah, I think
Something in there that was plugged and you didn't know where it went or whatever, right?
Yeah, so I think we intend to do that, maybe not even as part of this plan, but as part of our normal cleaning.
Okay, that'll be
I
separate.
shouldn't say
from
normal
this.
cleaning, as our intended normal cleaning should take place.
Okay.
So
And the red hatched area on this drawing, that is what, planted area?
That's to indicate the wetland delineation.
That's the wetland delineation.
That's
I only see
the
flags on
newer
this.
part that got added.
What's that?
I
Okay,
think they're sort of
okay.
highlighting that's what it is, right?
Correct.
Because they only see flags on the
Right.
right side of it, but,
When we had their wetland scientists
Okay.
come out with this,
Yeah.
it ended up being a fairly big slice down the side.
All right, well, what I would like to see, so we can evaluate, of course, it's much better than the previous plan relative, from our perspective, from a wetlands impact perspective, but I'd like to see a plan where I could easily see the riverfront line on it. I know it's on the existing, but I can't really see it very well. I'm trying to see it, and so, you know,
the 100-foot is here, very faint, and the
it's very
200-foot is
faint.
there.
So I'd like to see a more legible plan that has the riverfront line designated with lettering that's more visible, the 100-foot and the 200-foot. I'd like to see the 20-foot no disturb line relative to this plan, where it is and relative to the proposed plan.
I think we're just treating this as commercial, so don't we say 25 and 50? And they knew that.
Oh, it's 25. Okay, 25. Okay, and the 50 is the no build, right? We usually have that clearly delineated. I just can't see it on it. Doesn't mean it's a problem. I just really can't see it on the plan. And
I'm sorry, could you clarify that? I was under the impression that was a 25, well, I guess no disturb, but there's a 50 no build? Could you just?
no structures.
Yes, but that would be a structure. I'm not sure how we are going to treat this, but yes, we do normally have a 50-foot no build.
Yeah, it means you can disturb it, but you can't leave a building on it, okay, without a waiver. If you're into it for some measured portion, people will often request a waiver because they say we have no choice, but,
The two items that would constitute that would be the scoreboard
yeah,
and this light pole on this side.
all right. All right, well, I mean, if there's I'm not sure it's a problem. I think if it requires you to request a waiver, we then have a discussion as to why it's where it is, and then we just vote on it, and, I mean, it's not unusual for us to grant waivers with justification.
Understood, thank you.
All right, and like to see on the pink area that is the wetland, were there flags on the north side of it? It looks like the flags are the dots.
Yes, I'll update it to show the flag.
Okay, so we're going to have flags shown, and And the stream highlighted if we can.
That's this blue line, but I will make sure the
Yeah.
buffers are more highlighted.
Right. And on the proposed plan.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's hard to have a discussion when you can't see that stuff.
For our information, the striping on the field is not that important. More important for us to
Sure.
see the
So,
outlines,
yeah,
and,
and
maybe
I
a
will
version
make
that shows
sure-
just that.
Thank you.
I will make sure it's highlighted. I don't know if you can see my cursor, this red eye here, but this is the line for the 100. Right here, it comes out, this purple that comes out here, and this is the 200.
Right.
Going right down through here, and comes out this side. But I will make sure that the green is the traditional black and white and so on, and so that these buffer lines are more visible.
And we need, Eileen, the 100-foot zone from the riverfront is not always the same as the 100-foot buffer zone.
Right, we need to see both.
We need to see both. So we need the 100-foot buffer zone line as well.
I'm pretty sure he knows that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably know that anyway, okay. Okay, so that's that. Bill, I interrupted you because you were on the same path as me.
Yeah, all I was going to say was a drawing which just shows that as a green block, as far as I'm concerned. We don't need all the
No,
striping, and then show the nothing but the wetland-related lines would be
Right.
helpful to understand it better.
Right.
And the 50-foot no build that would require a waiver, I mean, it looks to me like it would also include the seating area at the top of the drawing and maybe even on the left of the drawing. It depends on where the lines fall. And maybe another scoreboard on the left of the drawing as well.
All right, and then
But that's not impossible to achieve.
also, I think the field has a drainage that discharges somewhere, so we should be able to determine where that point is on the drawing,
Yes.
okay? The discharge of the drainage. And I wanted to talk about the alternatives analysis. The alternatives analysis probably needs to be slightly modified. I mean, a lot of the same stuff applies, but the thing is, you have, in your concept here, you have placed the field in a certain position, and, you know, and you're close to the no disturb, or close to the no build zone, or you're so many feet into the riverfront, the alternative analysis should justify why the project is placed the way it is. I don't think that's hard to do. I think it's a minimal task to do that, because obviously there's no room. You can't pull it back, because the other field's there. And if you go left, you got wetlands, and, I mean, left,
Well,
you
they
got...
definitely have to update their alternatives analysis, but on the plus side, the other version that we already saw is an alternative that we have this all established.
Yeah, the previous thing is an alternative, and so this is a substantial improvement, but usually the alternative analysis will talk about why you're placing it where it is and that you can't move farther away, which you can't, obviously, okay? But I don't think we're requiring a large write-up, because that doesn't justify a large write-up. It is the way it is.
Yep.
All right, and because you have resources on all sides, and that it's constricted. So I thought I'd mention that, so I think,
If I could ask one question?
Sure.
Just for planning purposes, there are currently light poles and electrical conduits that would be within the 25-foot no disturb zone.
yep,
Would the commission prefer that they were abandoned and left in place, or dug up and removed?
would you like to comment, Eileen?
I would suggest that if they're safe to be left in place, we could leave them in place, but I would defer to what you as engineers say about just the safety of leaving things there for the future.
I mean, if it's in a no disturb zone, ideally, you'd like to have it removed if it's not a major disturbance. I mean, let's...
Right, but I just mean sometimes I don't want to then cause confusion down the line that people find a wire and it turns out it's actually not really connected to anything. So I think just give us a good reason for either one.
Sure.
Do you think that's-
The ones that are inside the wetland, we will leave alone, as that'll constitute a wetland disturbance and require all these other things. The ones that are outside of the actual wetlands, and if they can be removed, and if you're okay with the limited disturbance of removing them, I think the best fit, just environmentally, would be to remove them because they're, utility poles with all the chemicals and things that are on it to prevent it from rotting, but it's not the best for the environment.
Oh, I would suggest definitely removing a utility pole, but just in terms of like digging into the ground for things like wiring,
The
that might be
conduit.
different.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable, stuff that can be, with a limited disturbance, can be removed.
And just make it clear that you're going to restore it after you do, that's all, make it
Yeah.
as best you can to go back to where it was.
Right.
Yeah, because those are temporary disturbances. It's not the same as like putting a building there.
Okay, now, at the time of the last thing, we had something about rainfall data inconsistency. Does anybody remember what that was about?
There were a few numbers for us to look at, but we're going to have to redo the entire thing anyway, so I will present updated ones.
Okay, so the rainfall data will be consistent.
Using NOAA 14.
Okay. And inconsistency in the curve number values. Since you're redoing the calculations, you won't have an inconsistency, I guess,
All right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any wetlands replication needed in this situation?
No.
No.
There's no wetland disturbance proposed.
All right, so we don't have to worry about a replication plan. And I think, you folks have submitted information already on alternative materials compared to the Tiacrum rubber. Does anybody have any comments on that at all? Okay, well,
Have to revisit that.
what's that?
I would have to revisit that. I don't-
I looked at the science documents that were referenced, and there's issues with all that stuff. I mean, it's not like the Tiacrum rubber has a fair amount of contaminants, but it is mostly contained, and it is filtered, and the actual stuff, unless it brushes onto a track, doesn't seem like it's going to be released into the environment. So I don't think we need anything more on an alternative to Tiacrum rubber, do you?
I don't know that I would say that. I would say let's see what they come back to us with.
All right. I don't know, only because I've done a lot of reading on it, and they submitted quite a bit of stuff already. But,
Well, then maybe you can share what you have with us.
yeah, I can send it back to you. I think I got it from you.
Got it from me?
I think so.
Right, well,
There was an EPA report?
right, I know, right. Okay, the EPA report that we've all had some issues with, the EPA report that they had referenced was really about health and human health and looked at people playing on pitches. This had nothing to do with,
It did not consider environmental.
no, and it didn't have anything to do with water carrying, which is what this would be doing, water, draining through this material and going out into a stream. That hadn't been addressed in that particular article. So that was part of our concern about that. That we just were butting heads a little bit on that element of things. It's not that we don't care about human health, but it's not relevant to us.
I believe we may have submitted a memorandum discussing it. If we have not, then we have prepared one.
Okay,
And we can submit that.
then just resubmit so we have the,
Yeah, that would be helpful if you resubmit it.
even if you did
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, and I also believe through the chair that we have some documents as well too in our alternatives to provide you as well too, so.
That will help with all that. Okay.
Okay, so,
environmental safety generally. Okay. Great.
All right. Oh, the other thing is, do you, because of the nature of the water body as an ORW, outstanding resource water,
Yeah?
do they in fact need to check with the Corps whether they need a 404 permit for this? Usually,
Well, they're no longer working directly in the wetland, so I think in doing so, they were trying to, I'm assuming, that you were trying to avoid having to do those extra permits, because they're not, instead of this, they would be additional to. I assume that was part of the plan?
That is part of our intent,
That's
yes.
correct. Our environmental consultant had noted that it would only be required if we're doing any work inside the natural wetlands, part of why everything has been redesigned and
Yeah.
reduced and moved.
a 404 permit has to do with actual filling or discharging to a wetland that's regulated for maybe drinking water downstream or something like that. If you're not doing that,
Correct.
then I'm not sure I don't think you may.
But I don't know if they spoke to the Army Corps.
Well, I'm not saying they have to. I think they have to make a judgment on whether they need it.
When they resubmit all this material, which Arson knows, I'm just saying it for everybody, it will also have to go to DEP again. So we'll see if DEP has, retracts the comments or changes their comments based on that too.
You're right.
Because that's not our call about the additional permitting. That was the DEP.
Yeah. Yes, we will submit it, but just to quote, I just kind of looked it up, and it was the 404 permit under the Clean Waters Act is only required if you're discharging dredged or filled material into the waters of the United States.
Right.
We won't be doing.
Right.
But DEP will get a further opportunity to comment on the revised plans that we will submit to them.
Okay, and the other thing I think we talked about is some testing of the discharge where the particles were actually getting through the drainage. Because that's where there could be an issue with toxicity. You seem to say that it's screened arson, isn't that correct? On the drainage, the under drain?
Yes, so the rainfall will have to travel through the crumb rubber, through the backing. Then there's what's called a choker layer, which is a finer, clean stone material, anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. Then it'll have to go through crushed stone, anywhere from 10 to 12 inches. Then it's promoted to infiltrate. Whatever does not infiltrate will flow along the bottom of the stone layer on the surface until it hits a collector pipe, which is covered in filter fabric.
Right.
It will flow through the fabric into the pipe. It's a flat panel drain, I'm sorry, and then follow that for a couple of 100 feet until it hits a collector pipe, which is a perforated pipe inside another stone trench that's also wrapped in fabric, and then outlet through the traditional outlet device that's there now.
Seems to me it should be pretty easy to do an initial sampling to see if there's either tire crumb rubber being discharged or it's not. It doesn't sound like it should be easy to prove that it's not being discharged with that kind of a system.
Certainly the particles have nowhere to go.
It sounds that way.
Absolutely. In terms of testing the water itself, I'm not sure what you would test for. I'm not sure what the existing soils, a lot of which consists of fill material, would test now. So it's a little bit hard to establish a baseline.
Well, typically, you could just test for the general class of semi-volatiles and PAHs, right? You do this all the time, Sadie, don't you?
Yeah.
So you could test for that, and then, I mean, to know whether it's a problem, theoretically, you could, characterize it more if it needed to be, but usually it's in parts per billion.
Yeah, and there's also like
The-
standards to look for, so if it's like reaching a certain standard, it's like, okay, that's probably unsafe. It's not like you have to like base it off of.
So it's above a certain standard when it becomes unsafe.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's catch basins here in the parking area, up at the school parking, as well as the access drive and the current parking now. So any vehicle that has a hose leak, oil leak, someone sprays shining material on their tires, any chrome plating that falls off the tires, anything goes in this catch basin and flows directly to the stream here, which is the same outlet that we would flow out of.
The same outlet you'd be testing.
So you could test those catch basins right now, so we have a baseline.
I can,
But-
but then a car has an oil spill here, and all of a sudden you're gonna have a really high PCBs, or whatever happens upstream,
Well, you won't have
and
PCB.
it's gonna give you a false result saying, you know, whether that's coming from the turf or it's coming from any environmental impact.
Well, the first request would be, I mean, you could, are you upgrading those catch basins that you're talking about as part of this project?
No,
Do they need to be upgraded?
not to my knowledge, no.
Is the pipe that's gonna be in the turf field, is that gonna be a blind tie-in to the existing stormwater pipe? Or is it going to be going directly into the catch basin? Because you,
We're proposing to tie to this structure.
We can't really see where you're pointing.
Can you
so
scroll
just
your
say-
screen down?
It's almost impossible to see the point.
Up or down, sorry, I don't know.
You're good
All
there.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
We're going to be tying to this manhole. So I guess if you were to test from the pipe in that manhole, and there's no leakage of this pipe that will be under the turf, then that might be okay.
that's typically what you do to try to like do spot testing. If you have a certain thing that you're concerned about, is you just test the pipe that's connected to that. So that-
Right. So we could just,
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned with the
Yeah.
existing pipe and what condition that is. It's a 21-inch RCP that's been there probably from the start of construction. I mean, it would make sense to replace that, but I'm not sure that, you know, that's part of the scope.
yeah, you don't want to misinterpret final discharge test results for something where the parking lot is contributing contaminants, because it is likely to happen to get some PAHs from it. But I'm wondering about those catch basins. Do they have hoods in them at all?
Probably not.
Because oils and things that float will be trapped. You know, you take the discharge water further down, not off the surface, if you have a hood in the catch basin. So,
I have observed oil in the stream here during the time of surveying the wetland flags.
coming from probably pavement.
Highly likely from the parking area.
Okay.
That catch basin towards the end, sorry, this is hit Vanessa. That catch basin towards the end before it exits out, is full of materials, soccer balls. There's all kinds of trash and contaminants in it already. So part of this proposal is to kind of clean that up to improve it.
Could, I mean, since you've already seen oil and stuff in the stream, can we get somebody in the town you're going to clean it out, or could the engineering staff tell us how deep the catch basin is, even if it's not proposed to be replaced at this time? It would be nice to know the condition of that catch basin.
When you say engineering staff, do you mean the town's engineering staff?
I'm not sure who I mean, to be honest with you.
If it's a public catch basin, wouldn't that be the DPW?
That's what he meant, the engineering staff in the DPW.
Yeah.
I think that's what you meant, I'm sorry.
I guess that's what I meant.
I was just checking. So the
because it-
engineering in our town typically
Yeah.
is the one, they're the ones who have those measures.
Catch basin.
Right.
If not,
And wouldn't they
just
also be the
clean
ones to clean it out
catch basin.
if it needed to be?
That's the minimum catch basins.
They do that. They have a clam.
Ultimately.
Often
Right.
make them
For
replace
catch
if they're not
basins, yeah.
If it's town-owned.
4 feet.
I mean, some of them are private, but.
Could we, as part of our end, look into getting the catch basin checked out? Because they said if there's oil, it's filled up, there may be no hood in it, and any stuff runoff from the parking lot is going in and going out in that case.
So there's a catch basin over there that we're talking about, to that northern end there? There's an existing one? Okay.
There's a catch basin in this parking here in front of the building. There are two
Right, that's
on either side of this access drive, and then this is the one that we couldn't see. I believe there's a filter fabric on it. This one we did see. I did not observe a hood. It's about 9 feet deep. This one.
Ninth.
Full of debris.
Could we,
That's very deep.
does,
The town has cleaned all of the catch basins, all the public catch basins, every year or two for the past several years. Does that include ones on the school and on our municipal properties?
Typically
Does.
does.
So we
So-
have been cleaning them pretty regularly.
they've been cleaning them, but he said they're filled up and there's oil getting into the stream. So where's the oil coming from?
Could it be
Yeah.
coming from
course.
higher up in this, like, the stream? Could it just be flowing down? If there's like a different outlet somewhere else?
Could we have the
Regardless, I think that you are perfectly justified in wanting to know what's coming out at the end of the pipes
Yes,
from this drainage system.
yes,
But I will check with engineering about some more information about the catch basins.
that would be great. Okay, all right. All right. So I think that pretty much does it. Should we go through the list and just make sure we have the same list?
I think Bob's been taking good notes.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to get drainage plans and calcs. We're going to get an O&M plan. There's going to be some adjustments to the alternative analysis. We asked for clarifications of the plans relative to buffers and riverfront lines and no disturb and no building setbacks lines so we can read them. We're going to, something about the tire crumb rubber,
Well, they're going to resubmit or submit a memo on sort of environmental safety that I think they seem to have. Is that maybe?
Yes, I think
That
that's
was
what I meant.
Summary. there.
Okay, and maybe they can come up with a plan for some initial testing for particles and some water for probably semi-volatiles and PAHs, but you can have your environmental engineer certainly tell us what they think. And then there'd be, that's about it. Is there anything else? Anybody have anything else?
Existing light poles, we were going to come up with a plan on the existing light poles,
Okay, existing light poles, right?
Oh, as in removing,
or a recommendation on them.
The wiring.
Anything else? The commission remember anything else?
Would it make any sense to have, which he explained very well as far as crushed stone, fabric, that whole concept of drainage through each one of those layers? What's the percentage
Of what?
that each one is actually letting through to the next less and less and less? Is there percentages?
I don't, honestly, I just don't know if there is that.
I think he's, the treatment train for
Yeah, like,
for the layers.
I mean, they have.
That's an arson question.
It's basically just one more step.
You may have already, Arson, you may have already have given us that, but it would be nice to have a description that the drainage in the water goes from A to B to C, exactly what you just said. It's probably a paragraph.
I can describe it. I'm not aware of percentages from the state, let's say 80% TSS treatment.
Right.
A type where you have, 5% sweeping, 25% for a hooded catch basin. This is more of, going through a backing, going through crushed stone. I guess I could calculate a percent through crushed stone, maybe similar to a stone diaphragm. I guess that could be comparable to. I don't know.
Arson, if I could interrupt, I think they were asking for a defined description of the process.
Yeah, in other words, just a description of the drainage, so we have it in the
Yeah.
official
I think that's
files.
what Larry was asking for, but Ed was definitely asking for more of a percentage.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can do that, though, easily.
I'm not
Well-
sure either, I just, it's a question.
See what he can do.
We can investigate.
Yeah, you can look at it and see if you can get any detail on what you expect, say, solids removal from a system like that, I guess. You could do
I will provide it with my kind of interpolation based on similar things that exist, like a stone diaphragm versus
Right.
a stone base drainage layer, hooded catch basin versus a manhole, that kind of thing. I will do them.
Sure, sure. All right, so you've heard the comments, so just respond as best you can, I think, is the way we'll look at it.
Sure.
Can I ask them when they are expecting to have this material and come in front of us again?
I believe it's gonna take us 3 to 4 weeks. When is the meeting that would coincide with that?
Well, we have a meeting on July 10th, and the deadline for that, I think, is tomorrow, so you're not going to make that. So the next one is, we only have one in July and one in August. So August, second Thursday in August, so the deadline is late July.
August 14th.
Exactly.
So the deadline for August 14th would
It's
be,
August 1st, probably,
so that gives you about
Calendar?
the 4 weeks you're saying.
a little more.
That we can, if we could have a continuance to that meeting, that would be great.
Sure. Is there anything else from anyone? Bob, do you have anything further?
Just my thank you for allowing us to present tonight and the feedback that we got from you all.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys coming up with this revised plan. All right. Anything else from the commission?
So did you include that catch basin to check the catch basins?
She's going to talk to
Oh, she's
engineering.
gonna-
Yeah, Eileen said,
That's an
Eileen
ongoing
said.
thing, I think.
That's-
I mean, yeah, we do have some information from them, but, okay, not a worries.
All right, could I have, could I have a motion to continue the public hearing for 114 Wynn Street, DEP file number 122-713, to the meeting of August 14th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, have a good evening.
Happy 4th.
Same to you, really.
Enjoy your vacation.
All right, so we are, 7A was continued, we did that already. We have a continued public hearing on proposed stormwater regulations. All right, so we have a draft of proposed stormwater regulations. It's been on the agenda for a number of times. We were anticipating, I guess we originally thought that if the Maytown meeting had voted for it, at the next meeting, we would vote the regulations. However, if town meeting, we're going to go again in September for the revised bylaw. The intent is to provide more, we think town meeting seemed to be somewhat in the dark about exactly what we were putting in the regulations. We talked about what we're leaving in the bylaw, but they were concerned about the detailed content of the regulations. So we're going to go again to do a more detailed presentation. It won't be the most interesting presentation, it'll be the more detailed presentation to town meeting, to leave nothing out, to make sure we find a way to summarize to them, here is exactly what is in the regulations. But it comes to our attention that if they do vote for this change to make the whole stormwater bylaw arranged more efficiently, there'll be a gap in time where we won't have stormwater regulations in place, and the new bylaw takes out all the detailed requirements. In other words, there'll be like a void. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and that was one of the comments the last time.
So, it seems reasonable that this commission has to pass the stormwater regulations even with the old bylaw in place, because it just duplicates what there is.
Right.
But we have to make sure that if we're doing that as a temporary measure, so there is something in place, that we're not changing anything that's not in the original bylaw. And so I don't think we'll do it tonight, but I think we need to think about this. An example of that is, we have, a long time ago, we put in, and it was agreed to by stakeholders, a restriction on cutting trees only from the rear 15-foot setback, the zoning setback. And since the majority of people prefer to have privacy at the back of their lot, they're not building in the last 15 feet of the lot. And so we restrict currently the trees. The way it was written is we put it in and for a standard, interrupt me anytime I go off base, please. We put it in in the section for standard permit. We meant to put that in for all permits. Okay, and so the current version of the regulation corrects the oversight,
Right.
but the existing bylaw doesn't do that.
Right.
So if we pass the regulations as they is, there'll be a discrepancy between the two.
And if there is, the bylaw rules.
The bylaw, that's true.
Right, the bylaw rules if there's any discrepancy until the bylaw is changed.
Right, so it's not a problem then.
Shouldn't be a problem, no. I would suggest, though, that the
right.
new regulations, we go through the formal process that we're proposing, that we have the subcommittee vote and approve them and recommend they come forward to this committee.
But they have approved
Which
those.
they
have
had done, but do you want to get together again maybe one more time to talk about anything else that we might have missed?
We actually voted in the subcommittee
I
to
believe
forward
we
it to
did.
the full committee? I don't remember doing that.
Oh, I think we did.
Okay.
If you vote, if you go to the minutes and you see that we voted them, then that draft, as it currently exists, was approved by the subcommittee, and we had stakeholders from the business community on that panel. Can we go back into those minutes, you think, and look?
Do we have minutes of those meetings?
Do we have minutes?
We have
They're not recorded.
Eileen's notes that she didn't really get around to making formal
Yeah.
minutes, so I'll have to check back on that.
But if it was voted,
I have.
then it was approved.
Right, which I thought we did. But I'll check back on that, but it wasn't any formal minutes. I should write them up and publish them. It's just time.
Yeah. Well, if we have, then we followed that process already.
Yeah.
And the process isn't official yet until the whole thing changes anyway, so we could just vote. I mean, the commission has the authority to approve regulations, to draw up regulations relevant to the bylaw. That
Right.
authority already exists, and we can just do that.
That way, there's something in place if
Right.
town meeting votes for it.
Okay.
And the town meeting would see what they are. That would be published in the backup material.
And of course, it should be noted here that the hierarchy of documents, Bill already sort of alluded to it, is the bylaw is the hierarchy document, is the highest document, and the regulations cannot mandate anything more strict than what's in the bylaw. Is that correct?
I don't know about that, but certainly if there's a conflict,
Yeah, I'm not sure
bylaw
about that.
rules.
I would agree with that part. The bylaw sort of just sets out what the regulations are going to do. But then,
Right.
that's exactly what we're planning to do, is just make the
Well,
regulations.
a good example, I think, of what Larry's talking about is we're now talking about having no cutting in the setbacks
Yep.
of a abbreviated
And that would be in the
application.
regulations.
That would be in the regulations, but not in the bylaw during that interim period until the bylaw is changed and approved by the Attorney General's office. So, if an application came before us, we couldn't enforce that because the bylaw would overrule it.
Right.
I
Until
think that's
that
part of,
future time.
I think that whole Attorney General is what we had taken into account before, because town meeting votes, but then it still takes something like 90 days
Right.
for the Attorney General to approve it. So we knew we had that buffer to then approve the regulations. But I'm fine with doing it your way. I'm just saying that I think that was our thought process before.
Right, but that was
We knew we
also
had-
one of the complaints
Right.
in the approval process.
That there would be this
was to get
void
that
where
in
there is
90
no
days.
details available.
I know. I know one of my concerns, though, was just that town meeting isn't voting on the regulations.
Well,
but they
There isn't, but
feel
we,
like they are.
need the details, the technical details in the regulations to enforce the stormwater permit program.
They're
Right?
not approving the regulations officially, but indirectly they are, because they're not going to approve the regs unless they know that same material is going to be enforced somewhere. They need to be reassured of that. So that's the approach I
Yeah.
think we should take.
I hear you.
I think we're getting twisted around the axle a bit here.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're going to change it. I'm 95% certain that the subcommittee did vote, and that we had just left it with us, just waiting for the commission to vote as a whole, which we were going to do after town meeting, but we can do it whenever you'd like.
And just for the rest of the commission, Larry's been working on the presentation, and I've been working on the backup material, so we're well on the way to presenting it in September.
Right.
So we should
Right.
vote on approving the regulations in either the July meeting or the August meeting.
Okay.
Right, right.
And in the meantime, if you're okay with it, and we're making no changes to the bylaw, because we're all happy with that, right?
Right.
Eileen will submit the bylaw this week, next week, to, for town meeting, because that has to be in by July 1.
So the warrant article will be exactly the same
Warrant
as the
article
last
will
time.
be the same.
Okay.
Then you guys get me we'll agree on backup material for fairly shortly after that. We've got some wiggle room on that, but they're not going to want to wait for weeks and weeks and weeks.
If anyone would like
So
to,
maybe the July meeting, we should aim to do the vote. So if we have any changes to make, we should do it before then.
if any of the commissioners would like to, Bill has seen it, but for all the other commissioners, it's in a place where we can share it with you, the draft of the presentation to town meeting. If any of you have time to want to review it, let me know and I'll just send it off to you. It's a PowerPoint. Okay? All right, so this is a continued public hearing. I guess, do we need to continue it till the July 10th meeting, I guess?
Let's just go ahead and do that.
All right, could I,
We had continued it until the meeting after. Yes, let's just do that.
could
Yep.
I have a motion to continue the public hearing for the proposed stormwater regulations to a next meeting of July 10th?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Okay. All right.
Oops.
So next is violations and enforcement. We have 0 Cambridge Street, parcel 35-115. There was vegetation and surface damage, and is there anyone here tonight for that?
There is not, I see that I just do have an email from Jonathan. I thought to reach out to him just a couple of hours ago, and he said, "We're working on the response plan for 0 Cambridge Street based on the approach which we arrived at the last hearing. We anticipate additional correspondence with you ahead of execution." So we had left it in a good place. I just wasn't sure if he had an update. So I guess that's it for now. They haven't gotten out there yet. Okay?
Okay. All right, nothing further. Next is planning board comments. Do we have anything for the planning board? No?
No, we don't.
All right, subcommittee and staff reports?
I'd like to make a suggestion, if I can go back to one of the things already covered,
Yes.
which was the wall. I'm willing to go out and look at that, because if I'm not mistaken, there's crushed stone, and did we put a perforated pipe in that crushed stone?
Yep.
Behind
I
it?
thought so. He'll never see water coming out of the bottom hole that he put his arm in. I'll bet money on it. The water does not just go down and hit a hole. It can't. It's got to get a lot of water to come through that hole. And I'd be happy to do a report on it. I've done a lot of stone walls in my life.
Well, you're welcome to go out there. He will certainly give you permission to walk on his property.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, that's fine.
Happy to do it.
Okay.
Sarah,
I know-
were you saying
I know
it
I'm
looked like
right.
there was staining?
I uncovered the photos that he had sent back in March, which showed the snowpack on his yard, and then the wall, and then brown rivulets that appeared to be emanating from the wall. Whether it's what,
Well, couldn't that just be ice melt or something?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
It had the look of brownish stuff leaching through the wall, but I couldn't tell you for sure, that's what I'm saying. But I think that's what he thought was water coming through the wall.
Okay, it's not up on the agenda now, so we can't really discuss it. All right, upcoming meeting, next one's July 10th. We have one meeting in July.
Before that, we didn't do other business?
Oh, you have other
I
business?
do.
Okay.
So somebody was in touch with me during the week, yet another COC, that this time it's spectacularly long. This COC was originally issued in something like 1980 something or other, and then it got reissued in 2012, presumably to be recorded, and it still wasn't recorded. So I think they're trying to sell the property now, and they would like to please have it again signed so that they can record it and sell the property. So is that okay? It's simply exactly as it was, it just needs a new signature. Do you want to know what the project was, or everybody agreed to it back then?
In the 80s?
Yes.
What was the
It was a part of a subdivision, Mark Street.
Mark Street?
Yeah.
Does that predate even Larry?
Larry.
Yeah.
Prehistory.
It does. It even predates you,
35?
the
That's,
80s.
boy,
Yeah.
that's prehistoric.
Speaking of house sales, I noticed the house at the head, the new house that was built at the head of Sawmill Road just isn't selling. Every other day, it's open house, price reduction.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's the
I wonder why.
wetlands
It
in the
backs
back.
onto
or-
that great, onto all the wetland, sorry, well, not just wetlands,
Yeah.
sorry, but all the woods.
Yeah,
It's in
I
a
don't know
good
what the,
spot.
what the, I thought it would go faster, yeah.
Wow.
So there's still time for the Conservation Commission to buy it and the property behind it.
How much is it going for? Let's see if we have enough money.
When it's like, I don't know, it's like 1.4, no, it might be 1.6.
This is undeveloped land?
No, it's the, well, you remember the lots along Sawmill Road?
Yes. Yes, there was 3 lots.
Right, and he just decided to
Well, no,
build on the
not-
front lot and not do anything with the back lots, and so a new house was built.
You
on
might
the
possibly be
front
thinking about 3 different lots. There is a line of 3 on Sawmill Road, but that's not the one we're talking about. The one Bill's talking about is actually on Mill Street,
lot. Correct, but it's right at the,
but beside
Right.
Sawmill Road.
it abuts.
Okay. Are we, so the next thing is, the next meetings would be July 10th and August 14th, one meeting during each of the summer months. Is there anything further?
No way.
Can I entertain a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500.
Go.